George Burciaga, and I'm excited to tell you that we have two incredible roundtable sessions, both around public-private partnerships, but we have incredible mayors as usual. The first one is a spotlight interview with the new president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, Mayor Ginther. And the second one, we have three amazing mayors. We have Mayor Castro of Tampa, Florida. We have the new vice president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, Mayor Holt of Oklahoma. And we have Mayor Barnett of Rochester Hills, who is a former president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. So it's going to be exciting. We're glad you're here. Let's get started.
Hey, this is Mayor Andy Ginther, president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and so excited to join the U.S. Mayoral Roundtable, moderated by George Burciaga and sponsored by Smart City Expo World Congress. It's great to be on the spotlight today and look forward to the conversation.
Hey there, this is George Burciaga, and I'm excited to tell you that we have an incredible spotlight video with Mayor Ginther of Columbus, Ohio, and our new president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Before I get started, I'd like to say a couple of quick thank yous to some of our partners. We couldn't do this without Smart City Expo World Congress. In November, between the 5th and the 7th, they'll host the largest smart city event in the world. This will also air through the Tomorrow.Cities platform, which has over 29,000 members. So thank you for the partnership. We're excited. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Ginther so he can introduce himself, and then we'll jump into some questions.
Well, thank you so much, George, for having me. Thrilled to be with you. I'm Andy Ginther. I'm the mayor of the city of Columbus and the new president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, an incredible organization and coalition of mayors from across America that all come together to use our voice to push and advocate on behalf of cities around America. We always say that good mayors borrow, great mayors steal ideas from one another and use those best practices in their own communities. And, we're really happy and excited to be working together following the great leadership of President Hillary Schieve, our outgoing president, the mayor of Reno, Nevada. And then the new vice president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, David Holt, the mayor of Oklahoma City. Hillary's an independent. I'm a Democrat. David's a Republican, because we believe that the best ideas for America's cities come from all walks of life, all different perspectives. And what's the old saying? There are three kinds of people in America: Republicans, Democrats, and mayors. Our focus is on delivering great results for our communities, and so excited to be working with such a great group of folks, and excited about raising the profile of my city. The mayor of Columbus has never served as president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, so that's an exciting way for us to raise our profile of our city and further the work of the conference in a critically important year here in 2024. So great to be with you, George.
I love it. With that said, we'll kind of run right into it. There's a few things I have to say. One, you're an incredible mayor, and I'm saying that because I truly believe that. But number two, you're an amazing human being. I say this to you when we're not on camera. I say this to other mayors. I always enjoy the conversations we have. Thank you for the friendship, and again, thank you for the leadership. What you're doing at the U.S. Conference of Mayors is needed. Our city's needed. We're in a critical time. And thank you for stepping up for all of the amazing work you've been doing and you'll continue to do. But that kind of leads us into our first questions. While we congratulate you for being elected as the new president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, can you tell us about your key focus, maybe plans on this role, and how you envision advancing the interests of cities across our country?
Well, there's clearly, we have an opportunity this year with the presidential election going on, now that we have a Democratic nominee and a Republican nominee, really putting forward before both nominees, kind of America's agenda for cities and really promoting things that we think are most important. Clearly, listening to my colleagues around the country, housing is the number one issue facing America's cities. And so we think everything reimagining zoning codes that make cities accessible and affordable to all, expanding opportunities for the construction of affordable housing, investing in accessible transit systems That'll lead to dynamic and inclusive growth for neighborhoods in cities across the country and really incentivizing the development of affordable housing units. Housing, we're looking for, and we'll be promoting a Marshall Plan, if you
Hmm.
will, for housing. We think this is the most important issue facing cities today, continuing to build on the great success and strides we've made in public safety. We've seen record levels of decreases in violent crime, and particularly in cities across America. Columbus, in particular, and Fort Worth and San Diego and other great cities are seeing record drops in violent crime. So we have to continue to stay focused and vigilant on public safety. Mental health, continuing the incredible work and advocacy of former President Shivi in this space, really focusing on how local governments can get resources from the federal government to deal with these issues of mental health. And then all of this work, George, is through that lens of bipartisanship. We know that we're more polarized and partisan than ever before. We know this presidential election will have everyone running to their corners and trying to figure out how to use, for maximum political advantage. And that's fine. That's part of the election process and season. But at the end of the day, after election day in November, where do we go as a nation? And we know the future of this nation runs through our cities. Cities are the past, the present, and certainly the future of America. And so, how do we use bipartisanship, and continue to be one of the last bipartisan organizations in the country? How can the U.S. Conference of Mayors be that light forward, that way forward for our country when it seems it is more and more challenging at the state and federal level? How can mayors and cities lead the way around getting things done for the people of our cities and our nation?
Yeah, Mayor, you couldn't be more accurate in the fact that you use the line, sort of the light. It is without a question, you're in the trenches, and sometimes when it's the darkest. And for our mayors to stand up and become that light, it's always been evident that you're fighting the fight. You're at the surface, at the beginning of when things start, and people turn to you. They catch you in the grocery store. They catch you, sort of walking down the street, and you're there with them. And it's true. And innovation starts there. I'll also say that you and I have had this conversation about building, our task force and stuff to really rethink what's possible around public safety, around intelligent infrastructure, around smart government. So it's incredible to hear that from you, because it is evident that's where it starts. With that, the second question is, we're going to focus a little bit on public-private partnerships. Tell us a little bit about how you've advanced it with renewable energy goals, particularly through the Smart Columbus initiative, and what impacts has it had on the city's sustainability and economic development?
Yeah, we oftentimes talk about the Columbus way, and the Harvard Business School has written about this, and others. Really taking a look at how public-private partnerships work, and we're really proud of the fact that we think we do public-private partnerships better in Columbus than anywhere else in America. And the Smart Columbus effort was a great example of that. We won that competition back in 2016. It came with a $40 million grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation for research on smart transportation systems, and a $10 million grant from the Paul G. Allen Philanthropies aimed at encouraging more people and companies to use electric vehicles. So altogether, these investments supported charging stations for electric vehicles, a self-driving shuttle, the first of its kind in America to operate in neighborhoods, the Pivot app that helped drivers find places to park, a pilot project that alerted drivers to red lights ahead while detecting potential collisions with other connected vehicles. So this 40 million from the USDOT, 10 million from Paul G. Allen Philanthropies, we were able to leverage over $500 million in local match towards this effort. Everything from American Electric Power and Honda and the Ohio State University, the collective community. And that's really kind of set us up for a new phase of this work. And this is around equity. The Franklin County Digital Equity Coalition. So this launched in 2021. And this partnership of 20 public, private, and nonprofit organizations is bringing computers and broadband access to low-income neighborhoods. If we learned anything during the pandemic, access to the high-speed internet is no longer a luxury or an amenity. It's a necessity for kids, from a studying and education standpoint, for their parents to get continuing education, access to healthcare, whether it's mental health or physical health services for them or their children, applying for jobs, continuing to grow their careers. And so our focus is really to increase by at least 50% access to affordable, reliable home internet amongst the 80,000 households in our community that are underserved. So we're going to distribute 10,000 computers, tablets, smartphones, or other internet-enabled devices to households in need, deploy decentralized digital skills training programs at community organizations, equipping 10,000, because you can't just give the technology and access. You got to train and engage folks where they are so they can engage and leverage it to improve their own lives. Establishing a digital equity ecosystem in which 1,500 trained advocates will work across 100 partner organizations to raise awareness of the issue, sharing resources, and deploying support programs and raising awareness. And we're going to invest $800,000 in competitive grants to partner organizations for digital improvement, inclusion programs, and really establish an ecosystem of local companies and community organizations to provide a steady, sustainable stream of low-cost, high-quality devices to residents in need. We're trying to do all this work through that lens of equity because we believe that we want to be the most prosperous community in the nation, but we have to be purposeful and intentional to make sure that we don't just grow for the sake of growth, but that we're improving people's lives as we grow. We want our growth to be dynamic and inclusive. And we think this Digital Equity Coalition is critically important to that.
Mayor, you could drop the microphone right now because there's so many things you could pick off of that. And even if a city anywhere in the world did parts of or half of it, they would be so far advanced. You stated even from 2016, EV charging, autonomous vehicles. You talked about the delivery of internet services. Even today, you from 800,000 of grants to 10,000 devices to internet across the city. It's incredible to hear that you're moving not towards it, but you're there to some extent in delivering those services, not to some parts, but to the entire city. What we continuously say is you can't build a smart city if it doesn't work for everyone. And you've clearly recognized that. The digital equity, being inclusive, there's just so much that we could learn from that. One of the main reasons why you and I talked about that task force, because if we just documented what you said for the rest of the country to read and watch and listen, there's so much that our smaller cities, our mid-sized cities, and even our larger cities can learn from. There's so much there, and it's powerful because your team has taken initiative. I remember when you guys were awarded that several years ago. It was so far advanced from what I had read, because I read most of them, that the responses, and you were so far ahead, and it was so well written that it was clear that not only thought had gone through it, but there was a practical sense of delivery. A lot of times it's very theoretical, like, oh, we want to do all these great things, but when you bring it back down, it doesn't really match. You were able to implement and really deploy in a manner that created the most impact, which was critical, which was powerful. Again, something we all could learn from just the work that you've done. We haven't even gotten to the question on the work you're going to do, maybe further down the line, but there's so much to learn there. I'm going to jump into the third question and probably wrap it up, because this is our spotlight session, which is kind of a quick run through from an incredible mayor who's being spotlit on this at this roundtable. Can you share insights on the Crime Gun Intelligence Center and how this PPP has transformed public safety and crime reduction in Columbus?
Yeah, really excited about this. And I hear about this from our officers all the time. It's one of the reasons Fort Worth and Columbus are leading the nation right now in a reduction in violent crime, but that work is taking place in cities across the country. So this Gun Crime Intelligence Center was the idea of the ETF director, Steve Dettelbach, when he visited Columbus about a year or so ago. And this is a partnership between the city of Columbus, Governor Mike DeWine's administration, and then Director Dettelbach, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives. So before the center, it used to take 40 to 50 days to trace a firearm to other crimes or back to its source. And as you know, many times guns are used in multiple crimes in multiple locations. And tracing is absolutely critical when you consider that most crime guns tend to be used in multiple crimes and events. Now, thanks to this new center and partnership, we're able to trace a gun within 48 hours. So 40 to 50 days, now 48 hours. It's been a game changer for our officers. And this really has helped to support our high closure rates in Columbus. And we know that successful and innovative partnerships spur innovation. That's why we continue to pursue the best and latest technologies to make a meaningful difference. And then our goal and our vision, we're working on putting in place a real-time crime center right now, looking at other great cities and examples from around the country. And our goal is to take and leverage what we've learned at the Gun Intelligence Center as we enable this new hub, this real-time crime center of actionable intelligence that will enable our officers to act and respond more quickly and effectively to calls for service. You know, having real-time data information from different neighborhoods all centralized there. We think this can be accomplished by centralizing and scanning the video feeds from thousands of safety cameras downtown. A network of public and private sector partners are collaborating to support centralized monitoring of hundreds of security cameras by early 2025. And then these cameras show what's happening as events are unfolding before our cruisers even arrive at the scene. And this intel is proven invaluable in achieving the best possible use of our officers' time and delivering the best possible results for our residents. So, you know, this has helped us identify and track suspects and the vehicles they use to commit crimes. It's helped us locate missing persons whose whereabouts are unknown. It's a real game changer, and it helps take our officers and put them on offense again. Offense is, preventing crime, stopping crime, maybe before it even takes place, and then holding people accountable that are putting the community at risk. And it's a great way through public-private partnership. We can use innovation and technology to make our city safer.
Um, I mean, what do you say after that? I mean, from 50 days to 48 hours.
Yeah.
Are there any other cities that are operating or utilizing this technology yet, or is it starting in Columbus and circulating across the country? Or
As I said before, good mayors borrow, great mayors steal. I've been stealing ideas from Mayor Duggan in Detroit, Mayor Purival in Cincinnati. Has a gun intelligence center in place in partnership with the governor. This was the idea of Director Dettelbach. He really wanted one in every major region around the country because he knew how we could work to stop and fight gun violence, by leveraging innovation and technology to do it. And so excited to share more with mayors around the country about what we learn as we're on this process and continue to look for great examples from cities around the country.
That's amazing, Mayor. Thank you. And I did have a lengthy conversation with Mayor Aftab about his 3191 AI dispatch center that he's been piloting. So a lot of really cool stuff there. I want to say thank you, Mayor, for sharing this with us. It was important. We don't want to steal any more time, but we want to say thank you. We want to say congratulations to you again for becoming the president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for the partnership, the leadership, the friendship. There's so much that you've done. And I always enjoy these conversations. So thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate you, George.
You got it. Thank you.
Take care.